So at this point here, we're going to begin to explore why the curve shifts. And it shifts because of a change in demand. So I told you before, a change in quantity demanded, it stays along the same curve. And all we're doing there is we're changing the price. And when we change the price, it affects how many candy bars or how many donuts people are willing to buy. Now we're taking a look at a change in demand. And when we look at change in demand, off to the side of your notes or somewhere, if I were you, I would write in here, a change in demand occurs when the curve shifts. So it actually jumps places on the graph. Now, it's also important to understand that, at least in these simple concepts as we begin here, we are dealing with same price. Okay, so the price does not change, at least at the point at which I am taking you here in our beginning stages of looking at these graphs and beginning stages of demand. Price is going to remain constant. So we're trying to find out, why has demand changed when the price did not? So again, if I were you, I would highlight same price when we're talking about change in demand. If we're looking at change in quantity demanded, the price changes. If we're looking at change in demand, price stays exactly the same. Please grasp that, because that is a very easy thing to confuse, and you'll come back after a quiz or test question and go, well, wait, I thought price was supposed to be the same. Well, it depends on what you're dealing with, if you're dealing with change in demand or change in quantity demanded. So change in quantity demanded, there is what kind of change? Price change. Okay, price changes and change in quantity demanded. Change in demand, there is no price change. Price stays the same. So the same price people are willing and able, there's those words again, willing and able to purchase the good. There's a change in demand here, but not a change in the quantity demanded. And that's part of the separation I was trying to get you to understand here. We're talking with the price change. Hope you didn't have any outside plans today. God made the rain. We're going to praise God in the storm. Change in demand is not a change in quantity demanded. So please don't get those two things mixed up there. When we're dealing with any sort of price question, or when we're looking at what is happening with price, if you see that there's a change in price, then it cannot be change in demand. Because therefore, when you see there was a change in price for your item, now all of a sudden your mind needs to think, okay, that's not change in demand, that is change in quantity demanded. If you can get that down and you can keep that in your mind, it will help you begin going down the correct path when you are trying to navigate some of these questions that you'll be dealing with. So, price does not shift the curve. When we see an increase in demand, this is indicated by a shift to the right. An increase in demand is visually seen by a shift to the right, and people are going to demand more of your good at the same price. So here we're looking at candy bars. And so at 75 cents is where we currently have, actually it's 70 cents. Price does not change, but all of a sudden something else did change to where people yesterday were willing to buy 3,500 of my candy bars, and today all of a sudden it's 5,200. But I didn't change my price. So we know there's an increase in demand for my candy bars today, and I don't know exactly what happened. And we're going to investigate some of those possibilities here in a moment. But an increased demand is indicated by a shift to the right. A decrease in demand is indicated by a shift to the left in the curve. So I wake up today and my price is still 70 cents per candy bar. And yesterday I sold 3,500 candy bars, but today I only sold 2,800 candy bars. I didn't change my price. So something must have happened to affect the demand for my candy bars. And I need to figure out what. And if this is a one-day thing or this is a trend that's going to continue happening. So increase in demand. People are willing to buy more at the same price all along the line there. At a decrease in demand, people are willing to buy less at that same price. So we're going to come back here to our milk illustration, and we're going to see how to graph this and how to put this visually. So if you put this into your notes and you want to add things to this, feel free to do so. So when we look at change in demand, price is going to remain the exact same. But what if we found out there was a study done that said milk makes you smarter? What do you think is going to happen to the demand for milk? Is it going to increase or decrease? It's going to increase. Milk makes you smarter. You're all going to come in here trying to drink milk instead of coffee or whatever else you're trying to drink in the school day. So what's going to happen, that's what we should be drinking, is water. So that's going to change all of our quantity demanded at every price point here. So let's just say that it was, we're going to pick the $3 one right here. No longer are people willing to buy 30 gallons at $3. Now they're willing to buy 50 gallons at $3. And so we have to plot that again on our graph. We have to move our curve over to the right. And it shows that the price did not change here at $3, but our quantity did. And so that indicates that there has been a change in demand at the same price. We could pick any one of these, and it would be true there as well. If it was $5, demand went from 10 to 30. So it increased there across the board. But there is no change in price. We didn't change our price in any one of these things right here. But everywhere across the board, it increased. Now, price didn't change, but people want more milk at every price across the board because of the fact that studies show that milk makes you smarter. Now, it doesn't, by the way, but it's just saying. Now, what if this came out? What if all of a sudden a study came out that said milk causes baldness? What happens to the demand for milk? Are people willing now to buy 30 gallons at $3? No. So we eliminate those off the board here, and our new quantities at every given price has changed. So we shift our curve this time to the left because demand has decreased at every price. So again, we're going to stick with our $3 price point here. We're going to look there. Did price change here? No. Did the number of gallons of milk change between point A and point B? Yeah. It decreased by 10 gallons of milk just because somebody came out and published something on Twitter and they said that milk causes baldness. Maybe fake news. Price didn't change, but people want less milk at every given price. Okay? Do I have any questions here? Because if you can grasp this, then you're well on your way to understanding change in demand. Yes, ma'am?
In decreased demand, it goes to the left, and then if it's increasing demand, it goes to the right.
Correct. Yes. Good rule of thumb there to remember. So what happens to demand for milk if the price goes up? What happens to the demand curve? Is it going to shift to the right or to the left? I want you to talk in your group. In your row, I want you to come to consensus. Does it go right or left? Or does it stay the same? Come to a consensus in your group. What happens to demand for milk if the price goes up? Is there a change in demand? Is there a change in demand? Does the curve shift right, left, or does the curve stay the same? Okay, you guys have an answer? You guys all agree? You guys still awake? Okay, raise your hand if your group said that it is going to shift to the right. Raise your hand if your group said it's going to shift to the left. Raise your hand if your group said it's going to stay on the same curve. Okay. Demand stays the same. Why does demand stay the same? It's the price changed. Okay, I told you when we were talking about change in quantity demanded that if you see the price change right here, that is not a change in demand. You can automatically eliminate change in demand. Price now becomes the primary thing that you focus on. And when that happens, when a change in price happens, you stay along the same curve. And so nothing different happens there. Now, why does this happen? These are the shifters of demand. So we know that demand has changed. Either it's increased or decreased. We're going to talk about some reasons of why people demand more or less at the exact same price. So you will see these labeled in a couple different ways. Sometimes they are called determinants of demand. Sometimes they're called shifters of demand. This is explaining the why behind people are willing to buy more at a given price or people are willing to buy less. First one is a change in income. So there's no price change on that fancy suit that Steph Curry's wearing up there in that picture. But yet, all of a sudden on draft night, he was willing to go out and able to buy a brand new, expensive designer suit to wear because he was going to be on national TV and he was going to be a lottery draft pick. I know that's from a number of years ago, but still illustrates the point. So his change in income meant that it changed his demand. So yesterday he was not willing to buy that suit. Today he was because he now had more money in his pocket or was anticipating a change in his income. Okay? So right now, your demand for a brand new house is how high? 0. Okay? Because you are not willing and able to buy a brand new house, you in your current financial state at the moment. You may want to, but it doesn't mean you're able to. However, if you got a brand new job, you got a signing bonus, let's just pick a number of $200,000, and you now have extra money you did not have yesterday, now what could potentially happen to your demand for a house? It would go up. Now, you might not be ready to buy one, I understand that, but change in income does affect demand. Now, when we look at change in income, there's two different types of goods we need to look at. First one is a normal good. So a normal good are things that the demand will increase as your income increases. The demand for a normal good will increase because your income goes up. That is what we would qualify as a normal good. So the more money you have, the more demand you have for that item. Can you give me an example? Can I think of an example here? What would be a normal good? What would you spend money on if you had more income? Pizza. Perhaps. Sports car. I'm with you on that one. New phone. Good. What else? Okay, sports tickets, especially really good ones to like the Final Four. Be awesome. Okay, concert tickets. Yeah, you know, you might have a small demand for right now, but if you had more income, that would increase. You'd be going every week or every month as often as you could if you had more income. So those would be normal goods. On the other hand, we have inferior goods. And inferior goods are where demand goes down when you have an increase in your income. So it's just the opposite of a normal good. So demand goes down the more money that you have. Demand goes down for an inferior good the more income that you have. This one's a little harder to come up with an example. But can you think of anything where if you had more money, what would you stop spending, or what would you stop buying? Hey? Frozen pizza, yeah. What were you saying? Walmart brand clothing, yes. Okay. I was going to say Goodwill or secondhand clothing, but, yeah. What if I buy my stuff at Walmart? What are you saying about me? I'm just kidding. Does Jim Harbaugh still buy his khakis from Walmart? Did you guys ever hear that story? Jim Harbaugh, coach of the Michigan football team, he was given a whole bunch of grief because while he was coaching the NFL, his wife in an interview or somewhere said that he buys all of his khakis at Walmart, that he wears coaching and that he wears every day, and even though he's making millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, he's still buying his khakis from Walmart. Okay, so now those can differ based on the person. Okay, so for you, an inferior good might be Walmart clothing. For somebody else, that might be a normal good. So there's a little bit of variation there, but it's important to understand the basic concept of it, that the more money you have, the less you're going to buy of an inferior good. So secondhand clothing is typically a good one to put in there, but you really can't define any item as normal or inferior because different people have different tastes and preferences on that. Now, here's the second determinant or shifter in demand. When we have a change in the price of a related good. So something else happened to an item that is related to our donuts, let's just say. Substitute goods are goods that can be used in place of our item. So what would be a good substitute for a donut? Correct answer is nothing. But besides that, besides nothing, what could you put in place of a donut? I would still count that as a donut.
Cinnamon rolls.
Cinnamon roll. Good. Okay. Maybe a bagel. Maybe a muffin.
Bagels are just healthy donuts.
I know. Kind of like a muffin is a bald cupcake. Yeah. Anyway, so any good that can be substituted for the one for another. So when we're looking here at change the price for a related good, as the price of one good rises, consumers will buy more of the substitute. Okay, so if all of a sudden you find out that your favorite, I really want to get away from the donuts here because I'm just craving them too much.
Max go on sale.
Let's, now all I can think about is donuts. Well, let's just say, I can't get away from it. Let's just say that your favorite donut shop raised its price to where now they're going to charge you $2 a donut. And while I love donuts, $2 a donut, unless they are just absolutely magnificent, are a little bit above my price range. So I might find a substitute, and especially if I'm in the same bakery, and they have donuts for $2 and they have really good muffins over here for 50 cents. Well, me with the viewpoint that I have, I would probably change and buy a muffin on that day. So a change in the price of a related good could affect your demand for donuts. It could be that the store down the street is having a sale on Egg McMuffins, or Chick-fil-A doing free breakfast on Tuesday mornings. If you didn't know about that, they do. Yeah. There's a substitute good, and so people are not coming by your donut shop because there's something else they could have that morning. And so those are substitute goods. Now, we also have complementary goods. These are things that are usually purchased or they go together really well. I love the comic illustration here where this guy's giving away free extra salty popcorn next to the lemonade stand. Yeah. His comment is, think people might suspect that we're in cahoots? Maybe I should move down the street some. Okay, so those are complementary goods. Popcorn and lemonade would go well together. I think of some other complementary goods. We think about hot dogs and hot dog buns. They're complementary. They go together. People buy hot dogs. A lot of times they buy hot dog buns. Why can't you buy them in the same quantity? I don't know. But you have other items like, again, hot dogs, ketchup, or pancakes and maple syrup. So you have to understand what are the complementary goods that go with your items. So if the price of a complementary good, so donuts, coffee, they go well together. If all of a sudden we have well, maybe that's not the best example, because you could do one without the other. You could find a substitute good, couldn't you? Let's go with hot dogs and hot dog buns. So if all of a sudden you have a huge increase in the price of hot dog buns, people are going to be less inclined to buy hot dogs. So that can affect it. Same way goes, this is why certain grocery stores will put items on sale. What? Just use what? Bread? Oh, yeah. There's a substitute good right there. Grocery stores do this all the time and you don't even realize it. They may have an excess quantity of certain items that they want to get rid of, so they'll put the other complementary good on sale to get you to buy out their stock of something else. Yeah. Why do you think that all of a sudden you see that Payless has hot dog buns on sale for like 8 weeks in a row? It's because they got too many hot dogs sitting in their storage that they need to get rid of, because they know if you buy hot dog buns, they're really cheap. Oh, we should get hot dogs to go with that, or vice versa. They could do the same thing. Yeah. It depends. Sometimes they will, yes, but it depends on their inventory cost. If they can make more money selling the hot dogs at full price and reduce the price of the hot dog buns, they're going to make more profit that way than if they were just to put the hot dogs on sale. So part of the marketing strategy, and depending upon their overhead costs on those particular items. But good question. So complementary goods often work together. Number 3 here, the shifter of demand, is a change in taste or preference. That can affect people's demand. Even though price didn't change, all of a sudden they woke up one morning and something crazy happened to them and they decided they didn't want to buy donuts anymore. They got tired of them. They wanted to buy something else. So this we often see in fad items, things that are popular for just a few months or years. So when the good is no longer popular, now all of a sudden the demand curve shifts left until there's virtually no demand left. Do any of you have any idea what Beanie Babies are? Okay. So back when I was in high school, they were huge and really popular. People were buying those things, investing in them, thinking that they were going to pay for their college education because they were so rare and valuable. And there was one particular student who was a year older than me, and he had spent over $3,000 on Beanie Babies and had the cases and had them all protected and everything. And he said that he had used a lot of his college funds to do that, and then he was going to sell them off. And they were increasing at a huge profit at that time. He held on to them for just a little bit too long. He waited until the demand curve shifted backwards too far, and he still made some money off of it, but I don't think he came out with much profit after it was all said and done. So change in taste or preferences, fad items are a big part of that. You can also see change in expectation affect people's demand for a product. So a lot of times people will look ahead to the future. If you open up the grocery store sale item list and you find out that milk is going on sale on Sunday, are you going to buy milk today? No. You're expecting it's going to be cheaper on Sunday. People have expectations about a lot of things. Food is an easy one to illustrate, but if you are expecting that the opposite is true, where milk is on sale today, but it may not be on sale next week, you're going to buy 2 or 3 gallons of milk to make sure to get through the next week or so. Number of consumers is also an important part of that as well. The more people that you have in a concentrated area, the more people are going to demand for that item. So if you have all of a sudden this massive influx of visitors to come into this town, then there's going to be a change in demand. Price did not change. Last week, there were a lot of people here. My wife and I tried to go out to dinner, and there were a couple places that we went where Actually went to Sushi Don on Thursday, and they had the half price sushi. So their change in price affected my demand. So there was not a change in demand curve at Sushi Don. However, we went to Applebee's another night, and their prices had not changed, but yet there were a lot of people there. Because of the fact it was Valentine's night, because there were people from the conference here, there were more people there, so therefore higher demand at Applebee's that particular night. So a number of consumers can affect that. So it's important that you look through those. A change in price does not shift the curve. I don't know how much more I can underline and state that, but it only causes movement along the curve when there's a change in price. So change in price does not shift the curve. So if you see that there's a change in price, automatically think the curve should not be shifting here. It only causes movement along the curve. These are the 5 items that you should be looking for to determine what has happened if there's a change in the curve, or change in demand curve. It should fall into one of those 5 categories. So let's see how you do. Decrease in supply of oranges, raise the price of oranges in the market. Substitution effect of the price increase will motivate consumers to do what? Now, we are throwing in supply, which we've not really talked about yet. So because of that, in this particular case, still should not affect our response to this question. Key here is substitution effect. What is it going to motivate customers to do? Which is the best answer? Charlie?
Buy apples. D.
Letter D. Okay, increase the quantity of other fruits demanded and decrease the quantity of oranges demanded. Anybody disagree? Everybody want to go with D? You're correct. Well done. You got a gold star. Good job. Okay. Now, we'll come back